Okay, as surprising as it might be to most of us, the proposed voice treaty being considered by the government isn't the only sort of Indigenous recognition that's actually being considered right now. There is a far more detailed proposal under consideration, which I think could have serious ramifications for our democracy. It's called the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. And here to discuss it in a regular segment is former MP Nicole Flint. Nicole, thank you for joining me again. Tell me, what is this UN proposal?
Well, Corey, we called this segment the hidden agenda for a reason. This is the stuff government don't want viewers at home, normal Australians working hard for their family and communities to know about. So way back in 2007, the United Nations passed a declaration. Now, at the time, it was the Howard government. Australia voted against the declaration. The USA, Canada and New Zealand also voted against it. Then in 2009, when Labor were elected, they endorsed it. And ever since, the Human Rights Commission has been trying to get Australian governments to legislate the declaration. Now, there are 46 separate articles, and the ones that everyone at home should be very concerned about are the ones that suggest there should be a separate Indigenous nation within Australia, a separate Indigenous government, separate Indigenous economy, rules, law, institutions. And it essentially says that Indigenous Australians could choose whether they want to opt in or out of Australian society, under the federal government or state governments. It also suggests that federal and state governments would have to consult on every single piece of legislation that might impact Indigenous Australians, which arguably is every single law that gets passed, because Indigenous people are citizens just like the rest of us. So this is worse than the voice, Corey. The voice is potentially dangerous enough, and we don't really know how it will be implemented. But this could be infinitely worse. The only reason we know this is being discussed is because it's currently before a joint standing committee before the federal parliament. But because, again, everyone's talking about the voice, this is going fairly well unnoticed, and it's hugely concerning.
It should be. Hopefully it'll get some attention to it now, because if it gets through the parliament, we are a nation divided. It's terrible.